Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Acharya Stotsa Sri Srimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki. BBT Founder Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Acharya Stotsa Sri Srimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavanda ki. Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki, Sri Sad Goswami ki, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Sri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinda ki, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath, Shamakun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki, Sri Vrindavan Dham ki, Sri Mathura Dham ki, Sri Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki, Sri Nilachal Jagannath Puri Dham ki, Gangamai Jamunamai ki, Bhakti Devi Tulasi Devi ki, the Lordship Sri Sri Radhanath ki, Sri Giriraj Govardhan ki, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu Gaurahari ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Sankirtan Yagya ki, Transcendental Book Distribution ki, Transapasaram Distribution ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Bhaktivedanta Purpose ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Go Premanandi, Hari 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 Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Guru and Gauranga. Goes lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Nasta Prayasya Bhadresha Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. So we're going to continue reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 6, text number 44. 43, sorry. 43. Tvam eva Bhagavan etat Shivashaktyo Svarupayo Vishvam Srijasi Pasi Atsi Kridhan Urnapata Yatha Tvameva Bhagavan etat Tvameva Bhagavan etat Chiva Shaktyo Swarupayo Chiva Shaktyo Swarupayo Vishvam Srijasi Pasyatse Vishvam Srijasi Pasyatse Kridan Urna Pato Yataha Tvameva Bhagavan etat Chiva Shaktyo Swarupayo Vishvam Srijasi Pasyatse Kridan Urna Pato Yataha Tvameva Bhagavan etat Chiva Shaktyo Swarupayo Vishvam Srijasi Pasyatse Kridan Urna Pato Yataha Tvameva Bhagavan etat Shiva Shaktyo Swarupayo Vishvam Srijasi Pasyatse Kridan Urna Pato Yataha Tvameva Bhagavan etat Shiva Shaktyo Swarupayo Vishvam Srijasi Pasyatse Kridan Urna Pato Yataha Tvameva Bhagavan etat Shiva Shaktyo Swarupayo Vishvam Srijasi Pasyatse Kridan Urna Pato Yataha Tvameva Bhagavan etat Shiva Shaktyo Swarupayo Vishvam Srijasi Pasyatse Kridan Urna Pato Yataha Tvameva Bhagavan etat Shiva Shaktyo Swarupayo Vishvam Srijasi Pasyatse Kridan Urna Pato Yataha Tvameva Bhagavan etat Shiva Shaktyo Swarupayo Vishvam Srijasi Pasyatse Kridan Urna Pato Yataha Tvameva Bhagavan etat Shiva Shaktyo Swarupayo Vishvam Srijasi Pasyatse Kridan Urna Yato Tvam, you, eva, certainly, Bhagavan, O my Lord, etat, this, Shiva Shaktya, being situated in your auspicious energy, Parupayo, by your personal expansion, Vishwam, this universe, Srijasi, create, Pasi, maintain, Artsi, annihilate, Kridan, working, Urnapataha, spider's web, Yataha, just like. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear Lord, you create the cosmic manifestation, maintain it, and annihilate it by expansion of your personality, exactly as a spider creates, maintains, and winds up its web. Repeat responsively. My dear Lord, you create this cosmic manifestation, maintain it, and annihilate it by expansion of your personality, exactly as a spider creates, maintains, and winds up its web. Purport. In this verse, the word Shiva Shakti is significant. Shiva means auspicious, and Shakti means energy. There are many types of energies of the Supreme Lord, and all of them are auspicious. Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara are called guna avatars, or incarnations of material qualities. In the material world, we compare these different incarnations from different angles of vision, but since all of them are expansions of the Supreme Auspicious, all of them are auspicious, although sometimes we consider one quality of nature to be higher or lower than the another. The mode of ignorance or tamagun is considered very much lower than the others, but in the highest sense is also auspicious. The example may be given here in that the government has both an educational department and criminal department, and outside they may consider the criminal department inauspicious. But from the government's point of view, it is as important as the education department, and therefore the government finances both departments equally without discrimination. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumalitam Jaina Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Vayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunath Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyahevacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. My dear Lord, you create this cosmic manifestation, maintain it and annihilate it by expansion of your personality, exactly as a spider creates, maintains, and winds up its web. So this chapter is called Brahma Satisfies Lord Shiva. So we know in the in the saga of the the previous verses described how Daksha, by his impertinence and failing to give proper respect to Lord Shiva, very discriminating he was, and in that way he insulted him in so many ways that Sati, the wife of Lord Shiva, she took offense. She took very much offense, and she eventually decided to take her life, suicide. And in the ensuing things that happened, it was so ghastly. The followers of Lord Shiva, headed by Veerabhadra, it was total mayhem. They just disrupted the sacrifice. They turned everything upside down. They got hold of Daksha and they decapitated him and even gave him the head of a goat, which was meant to be for sacrifice. So in this way, there was total carnage, and there was, of course, Brigu Muni was there also, and so many other personalities were there. And it was quite something. And so Brahma, is speaking wonderful words in these verses that we read throughout this canto, this chapter, that is trying to pacify Lord Shiva and glorify him and restore him to his rightful position as a very, very important personality in the affairs of this universe. Lord Shiva is described as, he says, Shiva is very auspicious. The name itself means all auspiciousness. All auspiciousness. And Shiva, of course, has different names also by his, how merciful he is. Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. We heard that so many. The greatest glorification of Lord Shiva, that he is the Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. He is the topmost Vaishnava. And he's always in meditation of the Supreme Lord. In one incident, Devi, the wife of Lord Shiva, she was thinking, is Lord Shiva the greatest personality? Is he the Supreme Godhead? So Lord Shiva assures her that not really. And he quotes one verse. He says, Aradhananam Shavashu Vishnu Aradhanam Param Tasmat Parataram Devi Taryanam Mathachanam. He says, of all items of worship, worship of Vishnu is the highest. And higher than the worship of Vishnu is those things that are attached, Tadyanam Matachanam, those things that are attached to Lord Vishnu. So, in this way, he was being very, very modest about his position also, that he's not the supreme personality of Godhead himself. Yesterday, Lord Swarup Prabhu was describing, he was quoting from Brahma Samhita, the verse that describes how when Krishna wants to come in the material world, he transforms. There's a transformation. Because Krishna, Vishnu, has no connection with the material world. But to come to the material world, he has to transform. So he takes the form of Lord Shiva. And they give the metaphor, the analogy of that, like milk turning to yogurt. That verse is quoted in Brahma Samhita. Milk can turn into yogurt, but yogurt cannot turn back into milk. So this is the understanding of Lord Shiva's position in terms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes there's contention who is God, and especially among the Saivites and the Vaishnavas, and there's always this constant bickering and that Lord Shiva is God. But same time, we should not condescend. Lord Shiva is not to be seen in a condescending way, that he's one of the greatest. He's non-different from, in certain ways, he's non-different from the Lord. He is not. Just as some technicalities of how to understand Lord Shiva's position in terms of Lord Vishnu, Krishna. In the Ishopanishad, the invocation, very famous verse there. I'll read it for you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnameva Vivishyate. The translation says, the personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is a complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Srila Prabhupada in the purport, I'll read some of the very, very interesting. The complete whole, the personality of Godhead, has immense potencies, all of which are as complete as his. Thus, this phenomenal world is also complete in itself. The 24 elements of which the material universe is a temporary manifestation, arranged to produce everything necessary for the maintenance and subsistence of this universe. No other unit in the universe need make an extraneous effort to try to maintain the universe. The universe functions on its own time scale, which is fixed by the energy of the complete whole. And when that schedule is completed, this temporary manifestation will be annihilated by the complete arrangement of the complete whole. All facilities are given to the small complete units, namely the living beings, to enable them to realize the complete whole. All forms of incompleteness are experienced due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. The human form of life is a complete manifestation of the consciousness of the living being, and it is obtained after evolving through 8,400,000 species of life in the cycle of birth and death. If in this human form of life, if in this human life of full consciousness, the living entity does not realize its completeness in relation to the complete whole, he loses the chance to realize the completeness and is again put into the evolutionary cycle by the laws of material nature. Because we do not know there is a complete arrangement in nature for our maintenance, we make efforts utilize the resources of nature to create a so-called complete life of sense enjoyment. Because a living entity cannot enjoy the life of the senses without being dovetailed with the complete whole. The misleading life of sense enjoyment is illusion. The hand of a body is a complete unit only as long as it is attached to the complete body. When the hand is severed from the body, it may appear like a hand, but it actually has none of the potencies of a hand. Similarly, living beings are part and parcel of the complete whole, and if they are severed from the complete whole, the illusory representation of completeness cannot fully satisfy them. The completeness of human life can be realized only when one engages in the service of the complete whole. All services in this world, Jai Sri Sri Radhanath Ki, Sri Giriraj Govardhan Ki, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu Gaur Hari Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Jai Gaur Premanandi. The completeness of human life can be realized only when one engages in the service of the complete whole. All services in this world, whether social, political, communal, international, or even interplanetary, will remain incomplete until they are dovetailed with the complete whole. When everything is dovetailed with the complete whole, and the attached parts and parcels also become complete in themselves. So the Lord, the creator of the supreme person of Godhead is described as complete and whole, as we read in that verse in the Ishopanishad. He is complete. Om Purnam Ada Purnam. He is complete and is whole. If the Lord is described as such, then naturally the emanations of the Lord are naturally expansions and portions of a portion, also complete and whole. There are different grades of avatars. It's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita also, the 4th chapter, where 7 and 8. Prabhupada mentions in the purport the different grades of avatars. Purusha avatars, those are expansion of the Lord in terms of creation. Mahavishnu, Kabodakshai Vishnu, Shirodakshai Vishnu, like that. They are known as Purusha avatars. They are in terms of creations of this universe. And it's described that the Lord is lying in the causal ocean. And from his breathing, from his pause, he says, bubbles emanate, and each bubble is a universe. And Shirodakshai Vishnu enters into each bubble. And in each bubble there's a Vishnu expansion also. So there are millions and billions of bubbles in the creation, and they all are universes. And in each universe there's a Mahavishnu is lying in this ocean. And from him sprouts a lotus, and from that lotus there's a Lord Brahma appears. So this is how creation is described in the Bhagavatam. And Brahma Samhita also explains the process of creation. First being is Brahma. When the Lord spoke to Brahma, the most important verses of the Bhagavatam is called the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. There's 4 verses in the 2nd canto, right? 2nd canto. There's 4 verses, very explicit verses, where the Lord speaks to Brahma. And he tells Brahma, everything you see that has no connection to me, it is my illusory energy. Everything you see that has no connection to me is my illusory energy. It is my illusory energy. This is one of the instructions he gave Brahma. And we know how Lord Shiva is appeared from the forehead of Lord Brahma. So technically, Brahma is the father of Lord Shiva, right? But here, Brahma is glorifying Lord Shiva as the greatest personality. In so many ways, he's describing him as the greatest personality. And this is all sometimes very inconceivable, achintya. Achintya means inconceivable to understand by our senses. Until we come to some clarification, purification of the consciousness, we can understand these these technicalities of the different, the creation itself. Bhagavatam describes it very, something very complex for some ordinarily very difficult to grasp, but we have heard it from authorities like Srila Prabhupada in his commentaries, and Prabhupada quotes from so many, Sri Das Swami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Vyasadeva, like that, to give more clarity on these matters. Otherwise we will tend to speculate and try to understand it by our own teeny brain. So yeah, hearing is very important. The hearing from authorized, and Bhagavatam is the authorized scripture. Bhagavad Gita is the authorized scripture the revealed scriptures of where we can disseminate knowledge, perfect knowledge, knowledge that is beyond human, not spoken by any, or apurasaya, beyond human understanding. Sometimes it is like that. Therefore, this Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, they are eternal. They are ever fresh, ever green, ever fresh. They always, it's not some historical event that we hear about. And no, it's to do with this, with our everyday living, our day lifestyle. And the problems we face, and we can, by hearing Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavata, all that is troublesome to the heart can be destroyed. All that is troublesome. Just by continually hearing Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, by regularly hearing Bhagavatam, all that is troublesome, all these things that disturb us, things that we may query and break our head and try to understand by mundane perception, it's impossible. Therefore, we have to hear from authorized, coming in a disciplic succession. Lord Shiva's pastimes are very wonderful. Toward Bhagavatam, we are wonderful, especially this fourth canto, then in the eighth canto also, which I will read from the eighth canto, a very nice pastime. Lord Shiva, I saw this verse and I liked it. Lord Shiva saves the universe. This is during the time of the churning of the ocean, and the demigods and the asuras were in battle, or to try to churn the ocean. They combined in such a way, the asuras on one side and the demigods on one side. But from this ocean came, while the churning, there was some poison also came from the ocean. Although many other things came, the Dhanvantari, the personality of Ayurveda, Dhanvantari, Ayurvat came out of this. So many. And then the poison. And there was poison which was slowly filling up the ocean. And there was great concern, who is the person who can solve this problem? And of course, they turned to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, the go-to person for such a big problem. So this is the eighth canto. This verses. Chapyante lokatapena sadava prayaso janaha paramahadaram taddi purushaha kilahatmanaha. It is said, great personalities almost always accept voluntary suffering because of the suffering of people in general. This is considered the highest method of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present in everyone's heart. The highest method of worshipping the Lord, performing welfare activity. Of course, the material world is so many welfare activities, philanthropists and doing so many things, building hospitals and so many other activities are there. But the greatest activity, the greatest humanitarian activity, is described in Vaishnava etiquette. We did this 26 qualities of a devotee, of a Vaishnava. And one of these 26 is called Sarvapakaraka. Sarvapakaraka means he performs the greatest welfare activity. A Vaishnava performs the greatest welfare activity. And therefore Lord Shiva is described as the topmost Vaishnava because he is doing, when this poison represented in so many ways. Poison, apart from that, so many other consequences of that poison. Mayavad philosophy, impersonalism, so many poisonous ways that can affect us, apart from just the poison that was there. So, this is the duty of great Vaishnava. This is the self-offering that they take at great risk to themselves. When Lord Shiva swallowed this poison, he said it stuck in his throat. And this is how he got the name Nilakanta. Nila, bluish, blue throat one. He held it here in his throat for a long time. That poison. And so Prabhupada was saying that we cannot imitate Lord Shiva, especially those who smoke ganja, and he would say, Lord Shiva drank an ocean of poison. You can't do that. You will die. You will die. You cannot imitate these great personalities. And Lord Shiva is regarded as the one of the 12 Mahajans also. The 12 of this universe. Great persons. Jana means persons. Mahajana, very exalted personalities, empowered personalities that come to give instructions and come to give shelter. Lord Shiva is glorified like that because he gives shelter to even the most fallen. Is Patita Pavan, sometimes referred to, even to the ghosts and those without material bodies. He gives them shelter. Those very fallen souls take shelter of Lord Shiva. Of course, so Lord Shiva sometimes he is known as Ashutosh. He easily pleased and he gets easily angry. He's easily pleased because he's deep in meditation and sometimes people are worrying him for some benediction. So to get rid of them quickly, he gives them whatever. Indiscriminately, sometimes he gives some benediction. Therefore, he's Ashutosh. He gets easily pleased by the austerities. Like that. But sometimes they, like demons, have some selfish and they worship. Great demons also worship Lord Shiva. But they have some selfish motive. They want to be in control. They just want to control the universe. There was in the 60s in Durban, I was still very young. I must have been 8, 9 years old. There was one big Swami that used to come to the city center. That time the Durban market was the hub of activity, the center of everyone's meeting and sharing their stories and shopping and doing all kinds of things. And the marketplace was there, and this Swami will come every day. He was quite a big, I remember. He had long hair and saffron robes. And he wore shoes made of nails. And he would stand the whole day like that, in that position. And he would carry a peacock feather, and people would come and offer the obeisances, and he would, touch them on the head and bless them like that. So this was quite a sight, quite a feature, um, very awesome sight, and I was very, very enamored by this personality. Although I stayed but far, I never go anywhere near him, but I was just in awe of him, such a person. Standing on nails, that nails were very sharp. Can you stand on nails all day? No, it's some feat. Is it something? Some austerity is there to do that. Some beyond the bodily concept. And he was quite famous throughout Durban. But one day, he didn't show up. For some reason, he didn't show up. And then the newspapers, the local newspapers, flashed some on the headlines: Swami murdered on the banks of the Umgeni. I don't know if you all remember that story. In the 60s, it was in the newspapers. I forget his name, but it was quite a story. It was quite something. Then they investigated the whole thing, and they saw this Swami, the big business people, mostly Indian business, their wives were going to see the Swami at night. And they were spending long hours with the Swami, and they were very concerned. So it turned out that they discovered that this Swami was having affairs with their wives. So they hired hitmen, gundas, gangsters, whatever you may call them, assassins, to kill the Swami. This picture is very graphic, and lying on, there was a picture of that, isn't it? And they beat him with irons and whatever, left him he was dead, killed. So it shows, we cannot imitate great personalities like this. At some point, the material energy will consume us, especially if we still have desires, that unfulfilled desires, and we're trying to make a show bottle kind of spiritualism, described in Bhagavad Gita as what's the word? Probably the charlatan sometime. Mithya achara, a pretender. A mithya achara, a pretender who's posing outwardly as very renounced, but inwardly he has all material desires. And even Srila Prabhupada, when he was very young, his father was very disposed, or a very liking for sadhus. And he would invite them often and feed them, give them some dakshin, clothe them. And Prabhupada see these very same sadhus going out and begging and smoking bidis and ganja. So he had a very low esteem of such sadhus. Till he met Jaisacinandana Saraswati Thakur. Initially, he wasn't very happy about going, but somehow he was coerced. And then this is how he met Bhaktisiddhanta, because he had this impression that all these sadhus are the same. And then, after he saw Bhaktisiddhanta, he was recounting the ensuing things that happened, and he said, I met a very saintly man. He concluded like that. So the performing welfare activities the greatest alpha is to give Krishna consciousness, like we. And Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, towards the end of the Bhagavad Gita, the 18th chapter, he says, "There's none who's more dear than me than who speaks my glories. And one who studies my book, he studies with his intelligence. One who studies my books, Bhagavad Gita, he studies with his intelligence." I'll stop here. Is there any comments or questions? Twitter? This is a nice verse to use as offering for your Vyasa Puja. I use it a few times. This verse, he said, great personalities almost always accept voluntary suffering because of the suffering of people in general. This is considered the highest method of worshipping the Supreme Godhead, who is present in everyone's heart. So make note of this verse. It's from the 8th canto, chapter 7, text 44. Very, very nice verse you can use in your offering to glorify your spiritual master. This is the duty of the spiritual master. He goes through so much of suffering and pain by taking on so many disciples. Sometimes it takes unqualified disciples also. And the question was asked, how long does a spiritual master remain in the material world? Till all his disciples go back to Godhead, he will remain. Till all of them. Because he's taking that contract. So think about that. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.